Are we recording a podcast?
I'm recording a podcast, I guess.
It's like, I am now recording a podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jarred.
Hi.
Ryan is sick.
Yeah, I'm sick. This is not...
I'm not gonna lie, the voice is kind of hot. I'm into weak men.
Well, that's just me 24/7. I'm just a weak man.
Yeah, but now we can hear it.
Okay, this is now the new me.
It's on display.
This is now the new me. Get used to this, motherfucker. Not understanding a single word I'm saying.
Good.
I hate it so much.
Good.
And congratulations for you fine folks listening. He's presenting tonight.
Yay.
Yes, it's my turn.
And Dougie sounds fine. This was in anticipation of Dougie having frog throat.
Not me.
Well, it's a little bit croakier, but yeah.
At least you're still
not as bad as I expected.
You sound tired, that's all.
Well, there's that as well.
Is
I
that-
think I had 3.5 hours sleep.
So yeah, at least you sound audible and not going through puberty. So there's that. Excuse me.
Well, for our
Well,
listeners, I'd like to announce this is our first ever fully nude episode of Jarred. Yeah, we're all naked right now. Ryan, just go along with it. If they're listening, they can't see us.
I just
Watch the YouTube views go up.
I was gonna say now. YouTube's just gonna fucking skyrocket.
We're gonna get banned from YouTube.
Oh,
And we're like, go
I
fucking
can do
hawk
this.
your shit on OnlyFans.
I can do this for YouTube. I can do this for YouTube.
Yep, channel's gone.
Vagina.
It was nice knowing you, YouTube.
See you next week,
You didn't do
guys.
fuck all for us, but
Yeah.
thanks again.
We never had a shot at monetization anyway.
No, not the fucking window.
Wow, I'm gonna love listening to Ryan tonight. I'm telling you guys right now.
That's sarcasm at its finest, right there. Thanks.
I do feel bad for
I
him.
feel bad for me.
Okay, now I don't.
Well, I
It's
had
almost
a bloody
like you
good
guys-
night anyway, so.
I was gonna say it was almost like you guys shouldn't have swapped. Weird.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
think I'm glad your night
Well, I
was
mean-
worth it, Dougie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've had nights where, well, the next day after a gig and my voice is worse than this. But, yeah, pleasantly surprised that I'm not that bad. But it was a good night apart from being fucking cold, which made it hard to play. But, yeah, we got through it. So
I'm glad you had a good night, Dougie.
it was good to
Yeah.
play again.
And when
So
you
good
get
to
the
play.
video, send it to us, and I'm gonna
Yes.
post it on the Jarred Instagram account.
Yes. If they want that shit.
Depending on the quality of it.
And then you'll get Jarred clout for your band.
Ooh.
Anyway, I don't know what you guys. I don't know what kind of fucking voodoo magic shit you guys did last week, but like the number of downloads we got after that episode dropped was like, what the fuck? I don't know how many downloads that one episode in particular got, but I was keeping an eye on this stuff after release day, and it's like we got over 100 downloads in one day, and I was like, what did they do? I mean, I watched the episode, but still, I'm like, what's different? It's because I'm
I was
not
gonna
there.
say you weren't there, so that's one.
No.
No.
Great. It's because I wasn't there. That was the only thing that was different.
No, I thirsted
No.
for Dougie a little harder than I normally do.
I know. I know.
Very uncomfortable.
Well,
Could it been because of what we're doing now and with what the previous one was?
Are you
Maybe.
talking about theme of the season?
Yeah.
I mean, probably, maybe.
I mean, I ship it more. So
oh, I had updates for you guys for my episode. Okay, so one of them was that one of the friends that I had spoken to for my episode, one of Tabitha Goen's friends, she reached out after listening. She and Tabitha's mom were very impressed with the episode, But she
Okay.
messaged me and she said, just a little nugget for you guys for right now. The boyfriend, he did get charges from the raid that happened that night. He was served
Okay.
after the fact because he ran before they could catch him.
Okay.
Yes.
Should we also plug that other little nugget that happened? With Tabitha's
The
case?
search, I was going to get to that next.
Okay.
That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes. Alan even asked me if we were going to update that.
Yeah, let me pull it up on Facebook again. There was a search conducted, which my mom, like, she texted me about it first thing in the morning when that was posted, and I'm like, holy shit, like, I didn't even know. But I also paid attention to the wording in that post. The Cumberland County Sheriff, he posted an update on Facebook that earlier this month, which when this was posted, it was end of August. It was a couple days ago. So early August, the police conducted a search near Hurley's Landing Drive off of Butler Nursery Road, which is Highway 87 adjacent. I haven't seen anything about what they found there, but they said it was from an anonymous tip, I guess. So I don't know. I haven't seen anything about their findings, but I did think it was interesting. One of the people or pages that shared this post on my feed captioned the post that what the fuck did they say? I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. It was something about the police department being called out, like they're finally doing something now that they've been called out, or like someone called them out. And I'm like, that's weird.
Interesting.
That's suspicious.
That's, yes, fallen quite
Um,
ironically.
one,
Oh, here it is. They said it only took a post calling them out, but thankful they took their resources and checked into things.
one thing I wanted to point out, just pure coincidence. Both Jess's one on Tabitha and mine on Rihanna, they're both 41 this year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I just realised that they went, hang on a minute. She was 12 when she went missing. That was 29 years ago. And Jess's one on Tabitha, she would have been 41 this year. And it's like, wow, that's
Wow.
weird coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know.
But it gave me a little bit of hope with Tabitha's, because it didn't say directly that we had anything to do with it, but we know that her mom listened to our episode. We know that her best friend listened to our episode. Who knows who they
Yeah.
passed it along
Listened.
to? Because I know that a couple months ago when I was doing my research, I posted kind of an informational TikTok about the case to kind of start spreading the word then. And that apparently, I haven't checked the views on it lately, but it didn't go viral, but I guess it got enough that it started going around locally, and it circulated back around to the best friend. She said a friend of a friend had sent it to the friend, and the friend had sent it to her, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, this is making its rounds here. But it's really, I mean, I hope they find her, but it's really cool that we're doing this,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it kind of feels like we're already seeing results from these episodes. Which is good. We're not going to get anything from yours, Amber. I'm sorry. We're just not.
Oh, no, I absolutely know that. I'm, as much as I would like for JonBenet to have
God,
some
imagine
sort of
we're
justice.
the ones that cracked JonBenet's case.
It's not going to happen.
Oh my God.
But it would be nice for her to see some justice, probably within my timeline. But it's I doubt that I live to see her get justice. I'm just prepared for that.
The thing with JonBenet's case is it's like, even if it is solved and, you know, whoever did it admits to it, there's still going to be that crowd of people who are like, I don't buy that. It was something else.
Yeah.
Because there are so many different theories that it's like, even if, for instance, please don't sue me, Burke Ramsey. This is all speculation. But even if, hypothetically, Burke Ramsey came out later on and was like, I did it. This is what I did. This is how it happened. There are still going to be people who are like, no, I don't buy it. That's not how it happened.
I mean, absolutely. And, you know, whenever we do get to my episode and we start talking about actual evidence, which, Jess, I will need your assistance on, Again, all of it points in very many different directions, and all those directions make sense. And it does not help the fact that the case was compromised from the beginning because of how the scene was and how it was handled, which I went over that in my episode. And yeah, it was fucked from the start. So
well, they've had all these different people come out in the last 25 years who are like, I did it. Like, this is what happened. This is how I did it. Like, and it's hard to know, are these people telling the truth, or are they doing it to get their 15 minutes of fame? That's like, I don't think it'll ever really truly be solved, because no one, like, all in all, is going to believe that that's the end of the road for that case.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to talk about on my last episode, more than likely, is, just theories and all of the different ways that things could have gone, the way that some claims have been made, and what I personally think, which is my own opinion. It is an allegation. It is not fact. It is all alleged. Please don't sue me, Ramsey family.
I still haven't decided on my second one. I don't know if I'm going to do a two-parter or not. Maybe.
I think you should.
I might. Mine's very, like, it's not like a who did it. It's more like how they did it. Like, it's, when I tell these guys about this case, they're going to be like, oh, well, it was obviously that person. But anyway, it's Ryan's turn. I tried to stave it off as long as I could to give your voice time to recover.
I think it's...
but go ahead, you little sexy sea urchin.
Don't put me off.
Oh my god, he reminds me of Sexy Phoebe's voice.
That's what I was thinking of going into this when he was complaining.
Yes.
I'm like, just own up to it, dude. Just sick Phoebe.
I am just going to roll with it and hope for the best.
Don't think about it. It won't go so bad.
I'm going to try not to.
His voice is deeper now.
I know.
So if I close my eyes, I'm like, that's a fetching young lad.
Oh, and then you open your eyes and then you see this fucking hamster.
It's a hamster.
Yeah, hamster. Yeah. Cheers for that.
Cheers.
Fuck's sake. Okay, so mine's not going to get any solved from this either, because it technically already is. But have any of you heard of the Moors murders?
Yes.
No.
I just listened to an episode of My Favorite Murder about this.
I'm surprised, Dougie, you haven't heard about this. Jess, I'm surprised you have. But okay. So, the Moors murders were carried out by Ian Brady and Myra Hindley between July 1963 and October 1965 in and around the Manchester area in England. Their victims were 5 children: Pauline Reed, John Kilbride, Keith Bennett, Leslie Ann Downey, and Edward Evans, aged between 10 and 17. At least 4 of whom were sexually assaulted. 2 of the victims were discovered in graves dug on Saddleworth Moor, and a 3rd grave was discovered there in 1987, more than 20 years after Brady and Hindley's trial. So yeah, I'm surprised just that you have asked. Wait, when did you hear about this?
There's a podcast called My Favorite Murder that I listen to. Well, I was listening to it regularly until Amber told me that they're problematic, so now it's hard for me to listen to them. But they did an episode on this one.
Right. Okay, got you. But yeah, no, this one, it's one of the most notorious, most infamous crimes that has just haunted Britain for, well, ever since it came out. It's horrific. So, I'm going to try and get this in the best order I possibly can. So, yeah. So, the pair were charged only with the deaths of 3 of their victims, Kilbride, Downey, and Evans, and they only received life sentences as capital punishment was abolished in Britain just a year prior. So, the worst sentence they could get was life. Characterized as... No, I've jumped the gun there, baby. So, how they met. In January 1961, so 2 years before they started their murdering spree, the 18-year-old Hindley joined Millwoods as a typist. She soon became infatuated with Brady, despite learning that he had a criminal record. Hindley began a diary, although she had dates with many other men. Some of the entries detailed fascinations with Brady, to whom she eventually spoke to for the first time in July later that year. Over the next few months, their relationship blossomed into what would soon become the most sickening thing Britain would ever see. During Hindley's testimony months down the line, she claimed that Brady had convinced her that there was no God at all. He could have told her that the earth was flat, the moon would be made of green cheese, and the sun rose in the west, and I would have believed him. He had such power with his persuasion. Hindley later claimed that Brady began talking about committing the perfect murder, in quotes, in July of 1963, and often spoke to her about Maya Levin's Compulsion, published as a novel in 1956, adapted later into a film in 1959. By June of 1963, Brady moved in with Hindley at their grandmother's house on Bannock Street in July of that year. And then on July 12th, the two murdered their first victim, Pauline Reed. Pauline Reed, who was 16 at the time, she was abducted on her way to a disco in 1963 when Mr. Brady and Miss Hindley confessed later to murdering her not only until 1985. And that's when her body was later found buried in a shallow grave on Saddleworth Moor. It's fucking disgusting. That was their first one. Their next victim was John Kilbride. He was killed on November 23rd. She offered him a ride home. She offered John Kilbride a ride home and made a detour to the moor where Mr. Brady was waiting. He then sexually assaulted him and strangled him with a piece of string and buried him also in a shallow grave.
Sick fuck.
Very sick fucks. These really were. Brady was so disgustingly persuasive towards Hindley that towards the end, when I was doing my research, I started to feel a little bit kind of sympathetic towards her, but I also don't at the same time because of the involvement she has had.
Right.
But the further I get into it and more of the evidence I pull out, especially with what the judge says as well, you will have some. I'll let you have your own judge onto it anyway. One of the other victims was their youngest victim, 10-year-old Leslie Ann Downey. She was snatched from a fairground in December 1964, and her killing was the most notorious because of the details about her death that were presented in court. Pictures of Leslie, along with books on torture, were found in a suitcase belonging to the couple in a Manchester train station. According to prosecutors, the photographs showed, in quotes, a young girl in the nude in various pornographic poses, end quote. She had been gagged with a scarf, but she was still wearing her shoes and socks the night that she was kidnapped from the fairground. The most horrifying evidence from this case was what was found within the suitcase, was an audio tape recording 16 minutes long. Apparently, the jurors heard voices of what appeared to be a man and a woman in the background, which they assumed would have been Brady and Hindley. And also the cries of a young girl begging for her mum and crying out for God to help her before she was then brutally murdered and dug in a shallow grave on Saddle Moor in 1965.
What the fuck?
And yeah, that whole 60-minute recording had to be played in front of the entire jury, the judge.
That would have been hard to listen to.
It's brutal. And that was left abandoned in a suitcase randomly in Manchester train station. The way it all come around is just sickening.
So what? Did someone just randomly be like, "Hey, that suitcase has been sitting on the floor for a while. Can someone check it?"
I'll get
Or
around to all of that. Of how it all finally came out, which it goes on to the
Okay.
next one. Their oldest victim, 17-year-old Edward Evans. In his testimony, Mr. Brady said that a Mr. David Smith, who is the brother-in-law of his partner's Miss Hindley. Mr. Brady said Mr. David Smith had come to him with a letter from the landlord asking for money that he had owed. He said that Mr. Smith suggested, in quote, rolling a queer, end quote, which is a term described as a hate crime where a gay man would be targeted, beaten and robbed. They later drove to Manchester, where they met Edward at a railway station, lured him to Mr. Brady's house, and tried to rob him. However, this is where the story gets sketchy between the two testimonies. Mr. Smith, the brother-in-law to Miss Hindley, claimed he was in the kitchen alone when he heard a very loud and shrill scream. Ran into the living room where he found Mr. Brady beating Edward, asking him to be quiet, otherwise he would silence him for him. When Edward fought back and tried to stand his ground, Mr. Brady grabbed a hatchet and beat him until he was quiet.
Oh, shit.
oh fuck.
Mr. Brady then, according to Mr. Smith, grabbed a cushion cover, wrapped it around the boy's head, along with a piece of cord, looked up to Mrs. Hindley and said, in quote, "That's it, it's the messiest yet," end quote. Mr. Smith helped cover up the body and clean up the mess because he was scared stiff and wanted to get out the house, in quotes, in one piece. Later, they all had tea together, where then Mr. Smith ran back to his flat to his wife, where they called the police. Edward Evans' body was found in Mr. Brady's house in October 1965 by the police. So Hindley's brother-in-law basically ratted them out the second he got back. He ratted them out because he knew, oh shit. That was then the court and the trials lasted 14 days. They wanted obviously to get it wrapped up as quickly as possible. During this time, they confessed to 3 of the killings. Well, they pleaded innocent the entire way through, but then they later confessed to 3 of the killings. Now, one of which is the one I'm going to go on to now. And this is... they're all sick. It's all disgusting. It's all horrific. But this one's almost the worst because it's kind of the most saddening. So Keith Bennett, he was 12 years old, and he disappeared in June of 1964. Whilst on his way to his grandmother's house. This is one I got mixed up. He was on his way to his grandmother's house in a neighbourhood in Manchester, and Miss Hindley asked him to help him load boxes into her new minivan, playing the ploy that she was moving. He obliged and happily loaded them in, and then she was like, "Oh, since you've been so helpful, I've lost one of my gloves over on Started With More." So off they went, drove up there, and that's when he was murdered and also buried out there. After he didn't come home for 8 days, there was a 2,000 strong search party going out in wastelands and derelict buildings to try and find him, missing posters everywhere. Nobody do anything obviously where he was until they then confessed that he was another one of their victims. And out of all of them, they wouldn't tell anybody where he was buried in particular. And his mum, Keith Bennett's mum, Winnie, she tried tirelessly through her whole life to try and find out where her boy was buried. She died, unfortunately, in August 2012, not knowing where he was. And Brady died in 2017 in a psychiatric high security hospital. And one of his last words or remarks was, I'm not telling that bitch where her boy is. But that's the one bit that is still unsolved about all of this, is the fact that they got 4 of the bodies and not the 5th one, and they know he's in the moor, and they've literally dug up as much as they possibly can and have absolutely no evidence or no shred, no nothing as to...
Have they done any, like, ground penetrating radar?
I haven't come across that, actually. That's a good point. I mean, this was all back in, obviously, 1965.
Yeah,
right.
Which obviously
who knows what's
they,
fucking left.
they
at
wouldn't
this
have had
point.
that, obviously, back at the time.
True.
Obviously, the grounds change, obviously, over time of decades, so...
I mean,
There's
really, all
honestly-
that would be left of them wouldn't be very much.
No,
at this point.
exactly. I mean, there wasn't with one of them anyway, because she wasn't uncovered until 1985, or she was buried there in 1963. You know, so unfortunately, there wouldn't be much left anyway. So the trial judge, Fenton Atkinson, he said the blame lay more with Mr. Brady than with Miss Hindley. And in quotes, this is what he said. Though I believe that Brady is wicked beyond belief, without hope of redemption, I cannot feel the same is necessarily true of Hindley once she is removed from his influence. Hindley came forward and said that she was a newborn Christian woman. She reformed herself in prison. She was able to reborn herself in that she was a whole new person, that she was no longer a threat to society. He'd come forward and said, Lord Langford, she may have done many evil things, but which one of us hasn't?
Okay.
I'm sorry,
what?
but nah. That, of all things, is just no. Like, no matter what. I mean, she never physically laid a finger on any of the victims. All she did was lure them away. She was an accessory to it all. But the fact that she was so easily persuaded by Brady to begin with, still a threat in my books.
She allowed, whether or not she did anything physical in terms, well, I mean, she did do physical harm by luring the children to begin with, but still, no, that's still pretty fucking evil to lure someone into danger where you know they're not going to come out of it.
It's a bit of a double-edged sword, I think, because it's like, yeah, like she's obviously got something going on mentally that would think that was okay to participate in that. But on the other hand, it's like, if she was being influenced or manipulated or even threatened by him, I mean, was it ever known if they had, I mean, did they have an abusive relationship? Like, was she also a victim of him and just kind of felt like she had to do that?
During her incarceration, she tried to appeal many times, and she did actually produce I think it was a 3,000-word letter, handwritten letter, where she went into detail how she was abused, beaten by Brady, controlled in that sense.
It's
Yes.
kind of like, if you're in that relationship and you see this dude killing people, like, you are participating in helping him kill people, it's kind of like, even if you wanted to get out, you're like, oh, well, he'd do that to me too if I tried to leave.
Edward Evans, obviously she was in the same room when he was beat with the hatchet. She was on the opposite sofa, and when he said his quote, he looked straight into her eye and said it, and she just looked like a deer in the headlights. According to Mr. Smith, she just looked like a deer in the headlights. Just like, yeah, I'm not getting out of this. No. So she was very, very controlled in this situation. But even she was one of the most hated women. In fact, she was the most hated woman in the UK at the time, to the extent one of the victims' mum said even if she was ever released, or whatever, she was going to kill herself, and I think, where was the quote from her, actually?
I'd feel the same way.
There was a quote from Hindley somewhere. Where is it?
Well, it's kind of like, when it comes to women in these situations, it seems like, I don't know. Like, you know, Amber, like the Barbie and Ken killers, or Barbie and Ken murders, whatever, like Carla Homolka.
Yeah.
Like, they straight up, like, raped and killed that Carla's sister.
Her sister.
She's out.
Yeah, she's out, living a free life. Makes no fucking sense to me.
No.
She's got a whole new identity, but she's out.
That doesn't even... I haven't fully looked into that situation, admittedly, but that doesn't even seem like a situation where she was being, like, abused or coerced into participating. That seemed like a pretty team effort there.
From what I gathered, I think her and the husband or whatever, I think they did have... I think she was abused. Which, and I'll go ahead and say, you know, while those may be contributing factors, they are not by any means excuses.
No. But you don't know what someone's mental is like either. Like if someone's like like super weak, I hate to say weak, but if they're not a very strong mental capacity.
Well, it's like at the beginning.
I mean,
you know how she would, when she said in her first original testimony when she was through trial, she said, you know, Brady had such a way with, such power of his persuasion. You know, she said herself, you know, he could have told me the earth was flat, the moon would be made of green cheese, and the sun rose in the west, and I would have believed him.
Right.
She was
almost like, sounds like a cult leader almost.
Almost, yeah. I mean, she was quite a respected woman before she became infatuated with him. And then she started to change her style, change her dress style. He started quoting a lot of Nazi stuff around her as well. She started to take it on board. He was very, very, very manipulative and very sickening, which she took on board. But she said herself, as she remained in prison, she once said, quote, "I know I could be out 1 week before someone assassinated me, but at least I would have that 1 week of freedom." So she knew, even herself, even if she was to get out, she wouldn't be out for long before somebody got her.
Well, what it comes down to for me is like putting yourself in her position and in the mindset of witnessing this happening, and it's like, am I willing to put my life on the line for this stranger that my partner is killing right now? Which, if it's a kid, any normal person would be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But it's different strokes for different folks. I mean, if it's a kid you don't know, it's someone who's like her in that mental capacity might be like, no, I couldn't do that. Like, if it came down to me and this kid that I don't know from Adam, no, whatever. But, I mean, she needs to be somewhere. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, oh, God, yeah. Well, they both died. Henny died in 2012, I think it was. 2002, sorry, yeah. Henny died in 2002 at the age of 60. She served 36 years in prison. She died of respiratory failure. And then Brady died just a couple of years ago in 2017. And also, he died of lung cancer after many hunger strikes.
Good.
Rotten shit.
Yep.
Massively. And the final quote the judge gave as well, before slamming the hammer down. Mr. Justice Fenton Atkinson described Brady and Hindley in his closing remarks as, quote, two sadistic killers on the utmost depravity. I didn't realise how sick this was and how twisted it was until I dug more. The more and more you dig into this one, the worse it gets. Like, I heard a lot about it when I was growing up. It was one of these, kind of like with the John Bonet one for you guys, you're born kind of knowing it. This was kind of the same for me growing up. Like, I knew a lot about it when I was growing up. Like, it was all, the photos were constantly on the TV, on the news, or there was some sort of news flash with, the Moors murderers, and it was either her or him. And then I was talking to my folks about it the other week, obviously because I said that I was going to be covering this one. And my mum said to me, she was like, "Oh, I'll never forget." She was like, I can see all of their little faces now on the TV. She says, the missing, and obviously when they were covering the cases and whatever. Yeah, it was one of those ones that we always knew growing up. But yeah, I've not.
I
sorry,
hate. No, I was just gonna say I just hate that they never admitted to where.
Yeah, to where he was, and that's
That-
the one thing that
yeah.
always fucks everybody over is the fact that, yeah,
He was
he
never
was never found. He was, and she,
at this point.
yeah. I mean, if they do now, it would be remarkable. I mean, she pleaded countless times. She wrote them letters in prison to pleading, look, I know you've killed him. I know he's dead. I know I'm not going to get him back. But can you let me know where he is so I can give him a proper burial? And they just straight up said no. They were even, for one of them, in particular, I think it was in 1985, they were actually brought out prison at separate times to locate two of the graves, so they could be dug up, and they did, but they wouldn't with Bennett. They just wouldn't, for some reason. Sounds like they had it in for him. I don't know.
It almost sounds like there was something personal.
So yeah, something
Yeah,
more to
that
it.
seems like really angry.
Mm.
You know, the fact that they confessed 20 years after the trial. Oh yeah, this is where one of them is, and this is where the other one is. I think they were like 100 meters or 100 yards out from each other, each of the graves. So it's naturally, when they got those two, naturally they set up a perimeter with almost using the same sort of diameters and everything to try and just dug up the whole area to see what they could find, and still nothing. It is almost like, it almost is a personal attack against the family in particular. But there's been no links, no correlation, no nothing. They, as far as all police evidence come out, there was no connection at all between the Moors murderers and the victims and the families. None at all. So that's the one bit that talks about all of that.
That was a real bummer of a
Shitty.
story.
The whole thing.
But I feel kind of it's kind of like sad almost. I don't know if it's because I'm an American or because I'm like super into true crime, but like you were describing it, and I'm like, I've heard worse.
Oh yeah, there are. Oh,
Like, you're talking about how grotesque these were and how awful and brutal, and I'm just like, I've heard worse.
I mean, naturally, you're an American.
Whatever.
You're gonna hear much worse over there.
Yeah.
For us, there are worse crimes that have happened in the UK. There are. This is one of the most notorious and the most infamous, which is why I've done it. Mainly so I could educate myself on it a bit more as well. I did leave out certain specific details because they are grotesque. Some of them if people want to go into it, I'll let you do your own research into it. Oh, my sources, by the way, were NY Times, BuzzFeed, and Wikipedia. Brilliant sources.
So one of your sources was American?
Believe it or not, yes.
Huh. Do you have your next one planned already?
I do.
Oh. Do you have your third one planned?
Do not.
You should do that guy that was like, they kind of like wanted for James Bond. I think he's gonna they want him to play James Bond or something.
What?
He like murdered people and then went missing or something like that. His name was like Lord something.
Oh, I
don't
need to
know.
look for that now real quick.
Lord, fuck, what was that guy's name?
Lord.
Farquaad.
I was going to say that.
Oh, God.
They wanted him to play James Bond.
Or there was something with James Bond.
Was it Jack Lord? No.
Fuck!
I mean, that's the most random Google search I've ever bloody done. I've typed in Lord UK James Bond.
I've got UK Lord James Bond disappearance guy.
So what you've searched, or you want me to search?
Oh, I'm sorry, it wasn't... No, it was Lord. Lord Lucan.
Lord,
John Bingham, 7th Earl of Lucan.
Lord Lucan, British gambler. 7th Earl of Lucan. Oh, okay.
I mean, you know,
Okay.
if you want.
I mean, I will have a look, see into it. Oh, I recognise one of the photos, actually.
Well.
Hello. Okay. That rings a bell.
It's a bummer for the summer, I guess.
Well, I do know what I'm going to do for my second or my third. Like, I know what I'm going to do for my next case anyway. Which I've ran obviously by all three of you now, and you're all happy with me to do it now. It is that one. It is completely well and truly solved, and it's wrapped up, and it's done and dusted with. But I want to raise more awareness on the situation itself, on the case itself, especially because it literally happened 3 miles down the road from me, and it is so recent as well. So, but I might do that. I don't know when I'm going to do it, either for my next one or the one after that. I think I might do it for my second one. Yeah.
You should make your third one like really
Yeah,
big.
the third one. Yeah. I'll dig deeper for my third one. See what else I can dig out of the archives.
I was thinking, sorry. I heard something, oh god, I think it was the UK. I heard something about this couple that was like co-murdering or whatever, and like they were like burying people in their garden or something, or under the house. I don't remember.
That happens a lot.
Yeah, I've listened to a lot of true crime stuff.
I mean, it happens with a lot of cases, to be fair. You bury them in the yard or into the porch.
Well, it's like the one I did in the previous season with the
Oh,
The
yeah.
Australian
when
Ripper?
to Jack the Ripper.
Australian Jack the Ripper. Yeah. Yeah.
I love true crime.
It was like that Unsolved on Netflix as well. One of them wasn't wasn't a family
The
buried under the
French guy, I think.
buried under the entire
well,
porch or something. Buried his whole family under
yeah,
there.
he buried them under the
Yeah.
porch, yeah.
Yeah, his wife, his children, and the 2 dogs. Are they?
Oh, don't talk to me about the dogs.
Nah. But yeah, they do. That's when you know it's an impulse thing. If they throw them in the garden, it's an impulse. But
was that though? Was that impulsive?
that one was.
No, it was not impulsive, Ryan, because if you remember, he killed his family over a course of 3 days.
Oh yeah, he did.
Like, he killed the
Yeah.
wife first one
Yeah, he
day,
did.
and then the son the following
He
day.
did.
That was not
No,
impulsive.
I forgot that aspect.
That was a plan.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, yeah.
That was planned.
And I gotta say, in regards to yours today, if you were murdering people in the 60s or, like, around, like, mid-century, and you got caught, you're a fucking dumbass.
Oh yeah. The fact that
DNA was not even a thing until, like, the 80s or 90s.
Literally.
Like, you know, you could, God, without DNA, you could get away with
They-
anything, basically, as long as you were a neat, tidy
It's
monster.
so much harder to get away with murder now than it was back
they
then.
probably would have gotten away with this if her brother-in-law hadn't been there. If he hadn't have been there to witness the
Yeah.
whole thing, God knows how many more they would have done. Not how many more they would have gone on with. You know, I mean, he was obsessed.
Do you think that there may be some that they never like confessed or admitted to?
Probably.
Maybe
I mean,
Oh, it's possible.
it is possible. It is possible. I mean, no comments come out about it, and there's been no evidence to suggest it. They confessed to the three that that they buried when they were prosecuted. So I imagine if they admitted defeat at that stage, I imagine they would have come out with the rest. But who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, but look how he responded. Like, they confessed to the last one. Well, not the last one. The 12-year-old
Yeah,
boy.
yeah.
But they didn't tell where
But they
he
wouldn't
was
say
buried.
where it was. Yeah,
So
yeah.
possible that they.
ooh, I wonder if
just
that's
confessed
because
to
they had
those
more
ones.
bodies out there near him.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But it's just how they've dug up the whole moor, pretty much the whole moor, and found.
What did you say about the suitcase with the recording? I thought.
So that
Was
was
it-
found at Manchester Station. They dumped it there, and
On purpose?
Brady worked at, it was a stock clerk opposite the Manchester Station factory there, and would often go to from the station, whatever, for his lunch breaks or whatever, and they just left it there. They literally just left it there, and then it wasn't until police were doing their rounds and doing their searches, picking up the evidence and so on and so forth, that's when they found the case there.
I mean, was that an accident? Do they think that they left it there to try to get caught?
Yeah.
Because it's like,
No time that one. Let me see if it is in here.
Weird.
Or is it just like a
Weird things
risky
just to
game of
leave.
adrenaline? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was.
like, ooh, I wonder if they're gonna find this. I gotta say, if you're gonna do some fuck shit like that, don't record it.
Yeah.
Don't record video. Don't record audio, because that will come back and bite you in the ass at some
and it
point
did. Oh,
later
and it
on.
did.
Don't kill anyone, preferably,
No.
but definitely don't record it.
What was the comment about the case?
Did you know that there are, at any given time, at least 50 active serial killers in the United States?
Bloody hell.
Well, that helps my
And say, I bet
anxiety
you both feel at
tremendously.
ease now, don't you?
Oh, I don't care.
Okay.
Just sometimes I get a little, not bummed, but it's like the likelihood of me and Amber seeing a situation like Charles Manson or Ted Bundy or Richard Ramirez in our lifetime at this point with DNA technology is almost zero.
I'm really okay with that.
I mean, good, do away with the monsters, but still, I'm a little bit of a true crime junkie here, so it's kind of like I'm a little jealous of my mom in that capacity. That's all.
I'm good.
Like
I've got
if
John
a
Bonet to
si-
haunt me for the rest of my life.
If a situation like that were to arise across the country, and I got to spectate on social media, I'd be okay with that. I think. Not close to home.
I will say probably my most favorite thing about the Richard Ramirez story is how a whole fucking neighborhood just mowed that man down and was like, fuck you. We holding you till the cops come.
They beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, they did.
That dude was a straight up anomaly. I don't think anyone will ever wrap their heads around that. That was just...
Dude.
The only common thing about him, serial killer wise, was that he had a traumatic childhood. That was literally it. He did not have an MO. Nothing. He didn't have a routine. It's like every murder was different.
Yeah, every fucking one of them.
And he didn't brush his teeth. So there's that.
Says it all. You're not brushing your teeth. You're a fucking psychopath.
Absolutely.
And he wore, like, the same pair of shoes to almost every single fucking murder up until it got leaked, which, what the... sometimes media is not kind.
Now that's...
It's not always important to have the exclusive.
Richard Ramirez, that I would think that was scary if that were happening real time.
Oh, fuck yeah.
A lot of these other people, I'm just like, if they have an MO, then I know what to avoid, so, whatever. But Richard Ramirez, he's like, I don't have an MO. Guess what? Young, old, white, black, I don't fucking care. I'm doing it. I'm doing the damn thing. I'm like, fuck. Maybe we'll talk about that on a future episode, if the boys aren't familiar.
Saying that just...
Oh, we should do it. We should do a season on serial killers. That would be
I
dope.
love serial killers so much!
Season 6 just
Not
announced,
like-
ladies and gentlemen. Season 6 right there for you.
Not, I don't love serial killers, but...
Oh my god, I love you. Can I get your autograph with this knife in my arm? Thanks.
Nah, honey, you got to be careful with that shit too, because there are like literal TikTok accounts that are dedicated to being in love and infatuated with Ted Bundy. If you're listening right now and you're one of those poor, pitiful girls making I love you pages to Ted Bundy, get help. Let someone hug you.
I'm in
and
love
tell
with
you
Ted
that
Bundy.
they love you.
I'm in love with Zac Efron's Ted Bundy.
Just say you're in love with Zac Efron.
Yeah. Zac
Don't
Efron
be in
in
love
the
with-
70s being a serial killer. I dig it.
Don't be in love with Ted Bundy. Love yourself, girls.
Girl, I ain't got a thing for unibrows. Burn in hell, Ted Bundy.
Oh, that's what pushed you off.
A unibrow? Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I get it.
Some justified killing? No way, honey. Sarcasm. Listeners, that was sarcasm.
Ted Bundy probably would have fucked you up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm just his type.
Yeah. Now I think about it. No
I think.
offense.
He was into young blondes, or young... Yeah, I think so.
He liked young girls.
Young, sorority-looking girls, so...
And he was very charismatic.
I would have been dead.
And he was very, very charismatic for being a serial killer, and... Yeah.
Well,
that man represented himself.
You gotta think about it. When a dude, even if a dude is butt-ass ugly, if they come at you with the charisma and the charm and the good personality, those things add a little bit of flair to attractiveness. Like, you know, it's kind of like those facets of personality, they build on a person's physical, at least for me.
Dougie,
Like,
that's
someone can
where
be-
we thrive.
I'm just saying, someone can be fucking ass in the face ugly, dude, but if they're funny or, like, smart or charming, then for me, that adds on to attractiveness.
Yeah, you should see some of our exes.
Yeah. But they weren't witty or charming. Anyway, but I can get it. I mean, if you look at Ted Bundy outright, you're like, what the fuck were these girls thinking with that dude? But if he was what they say, were, you know, intelligent, charming, and good personality, then I get it. Throw me in the fucking trunk and murder me. I don't care.
I'll get on the message to Charles. Charles.
Ooh, season 6 serial killers. I need to go to the library. Is that open? Are we still COVID? We're still COVID.
Yeah.
Everything.
You probably get more from the internet.
Can y'all just get vaccinated, please?
Now that you've said that, I've just realized
I want my life back.
everything here now is reopened. No restrictions. Nothing. It's literally a free-for-all. But my library, still closed.
Meanwhile, over here, we're in a reinstated mask mandate.
Really?
Even if vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I'll say it loud, I'll say it proud for people listening to this. The vaccine does not and has never claimed to 100% prevent COVID infection. Okay?
Never.
So
Matter
even the
of fact-
vaccinated...
Yeah, matter of fact, I know someone currently who has been fully vaccinated and contacted COVID. However, their symptoms are significantly less severe than some of those who have not been vaccinated. I
Yeah.
currently know
Exactly.
someone else who has COVID who I think maybe has not been vaccinated. I don't know. But yeah, they're kind of going through it right now. So if nothing else, just to help protect yourself if something does happen. And
It is not a conspiracy theory when it's happening to the entire fucking world.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Yeah.
coming to my TED Talk.
and I mean, not to,
Flashback to season
Two-
3.
not to toot a horn or anything, but since I've been vaccinated, I've been in contact with people who have gotten COVID, and nothing's happened to me.
I will say
Not
this.
saying, but I'm saying.
We've been back under the mask mandate for what now, Amber? It's been a week and a half, or 2 weeks?
Something like that.
A week and a half,
Maybe.
2 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to be masked, vaccinated or not, in any indoor location, business, whatever. I went birthday shopping for my mom today, and it'll already be past her birthday when this airs, so I can go ahead and say it. But I was at this like flower shop to get my mom some flowers for her birthday, and there were probably at least half a dozen other people in that store with me, at least. And I was the only one wearing a mask. And that's to include the people that worked at the store as well.
That's a problem.
I was standing there in line, like, waiting to check out, and I had my mask on, and I, like, look around, and I'm like, am I the only motherfucker in here wearing a mask right now? I am
Then-
the only motherfucker in here wearing a mask right now.
Then
What
you
is
feel
going
like the
on?
odd one out, or yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a fucking Trump supporter over here, like I'm wearing a mask because I'm not vaccinated. Joke's on you guys.
Yeah.
Fully dosed, baby.
Yeah.
Pfizer gang, baby.
When we the other week when we literally
Which, by the way, is now FDA approved, so stop using that fucking excuse.
Stop using the ivermectin, please.
when our restrictions were all dropped the other week, like, you know, it was a free-for-all on numbers, could go anywhere. Sports venues all opened up to max capacity, literally everything. You didn't have to wear masks if you didn't want to, you know, it was your discretion. Some places still asked you, you know, to wear a mask or, you know, whatever. And the first thing I noticed when going out shopping again was all staff within retail environments not wearing one. They all chose to wear it, and I stood there, and there was a small part of me that went, I do feel your pain slightly, having to wear it all day, 24/7, working in the retail environment. So I do get it, but also at the same time, you're still in that close quarters environment. I'd still keep the fucker on if I were you. You know,
it's such a bummer because here, I got my second dose like the first week of May. And at that point, it was kind of like a, you don't have to wear a mask if you're vaccinated situation. So I got my second dose. And I just got to live freely for like 2-3 months. I'm like, fuck you guys. I'm vaxxed. I don't have to wear a mask anymore. And it was like back to normal. And then people were just continuing to be idiots and now are taking, what is that, Amber? Horse? It's not tranquilizer. Yeah. It's like horse
it's a horse
something.
dewormer. It's a horse
dewormer. Yes. Is that a UK, is that happening over there, you guys, or is that just America?
That sounds
no,
like that's
because
just
they
an
don't listen
American
to
thing.
fucking Joe Rogan.
That sounds like
they don't listen to Joe Rogan.
That sounds like just an American thing, girls.
Currently, it's called ivermectin. It is a horse dewormer. It is low in stock here in North Carolina, at least.
It's
because
everywhere.
People have been buying it in such high supply, because they've been told that it prevents or fights COVID. So, very low stock, and, you know, like, supply, demand, all that. So what's left in stock is price has skyrocketed because people are buying so much of it now that there's a conspiracy out there that it fights COVID.
To the point now,
horse dewormer.
To the point now, in some like Tractor Supply locations and other like agricultural stores, they place signs that say, if you want to buy this horse dewormer, you need to provide a picture of you and your horse, and you with your horse.
Photo proof of your horse, yes. People would rather take horse dewormer than take an FDA-approved vaccine when, you know, everyone's getting all upset. You can't, you know, they're asking for vaccine cards or whatever for entrance to certain places, yada, yada, yada. We can't even start public school here without having a laundry list of vaccines. So, these people are out here like, we've never been forced to take a vaccine before. Well, you know what? I had to have 30 million fucking vaccines before I was even eligible to start kindergarten. So, what are you talking about there, bud?
And hey, guess what? You medical workers, you nurses, I know my mom is a nurse.
You shouldn't be a nurse if you don't believe in science. Bye.
Y'all have to have regular, like, yearly, like, I know my mom had to have her TV done regularly, like, all this shit my mom has to do regularly in order to be able to practice nursing. There's not really that much of a fucking difference. Like, just add it to your list.
Yeah.
Like, just put it on your tab.
Yeah.
And guess what, you guys? I am now 4 months second dosed, and the only thing that's happened is my dick has gotten bigger.
Ah, shit, I must have got the wrong one.
That's the that's the only thing that's happened. So, you know. Anyway, now that we've had our little rant, I'm just ready to get back to normal. I'm sorry.
We're just tired of having more seasons of jarred with COVID than without. So y'all could fucking fix it.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I didn't even
You're
think
welcome.
about that.
Yeah. No, I have.
We started talking about COVID at what, the beginning of season 2? Was that when we started? When you first joined?
It was It was towards the end of season 2, and then we started season 3 with it, and we've just been on this fuck fest ever since.
Shit, me.
Jesus Christ.
2 years.
It's
No,
almost
baby.
been 2 years since the
Almost.
dude ate the bat. I think that happened in October of 2019.
I don't know what the bad thing is.
You know
I
what?
don't know.
I went in my garden literally last night. I let the dog out for a wee, and I looked up and I saw this bat flying around. And the first thing I thought was, "Who the fuck would eat you?" That was my first thought.
That is
Wow. Well, now that we've put the world to
depressing. We've been in this for almost 2 years.
well, now that we've put the world to right with our COVID fixer plan.
Actually, a year and a half if we pretend that the president didn't pretend that it wasn't a problem early on. So, anyway.
Yeah, but that's
anyway.
that sounds like a you problem, not a me and
It
Dougie,
is.
not a me and Dougie problem.
Oh, but it is still you and Dougie problem, so.
True.
Y'all ain't here yet.
Yeah, yet.
Serial Killer season 6. The next serial killer is gonna be me because I'm fucking over it. You heard it here
She
first.
kids.
Welcome back to
folks.
Judge,
No,
season 6,
she's
episode
joking.
1. Serial killer.
She's
Jessica
joking.
Brown.
Legally,
I'm not
she does not mean
joking.
what she's saying.
I'm-
She's no legally.
I'm
I'm
joking.
her legal advisor. She's absolutely joking.
I'm joking.
Don't look at the wink. Don't look at the wink.
I'm
Here's the thing.
I'm joking.
Amber,
This is all alleged.
Amber, as much as you're trying to defend Jess here, I'm going to stand up and say
I've literally said before I would kill someone.
all viewers know, all of us know that Jess would suddenly snap. I don't even think Jess would need to snap. She'd just fucking go.
I don't need to
You don't
snap
think you'd be
to
the-
have. I don't
you
need
don't-
to snap to have a good time.
That's what I mean. She probably wouldn't snap. And you know what? I've got this horrible fear that if I was there,
You're on the list.
I'm on the
You'd
list.
have a boner when you saw it.
It depends what you're running at me with, but yeah.
What if it's a giant dildo? Come here, Ryan.
I just have this image of
Ryan,
Jess
you wanna
holding,
get pegged.
just have this image with Jess with holding two hands, just charging him like a battering ram. Oh my fucking!
Take it like a man, right?
Wow, I think we've.
I'm cutting us off.
I think
This
we've
is
just lowered the
too
tone. I
bonky.
think we just
Should we
lowered
go to
the
Waffle
tone there.
House?
Excuse me.
Should we go to
Why?
Waffle House?
Yes, I want to go to Waffle House.
What, when the boys get here?
No, right now.
Baby, I gotta go home. I got work tomorrow.
Jess, can
Oh
you
my
take me to
god, it's
Waffle
only 9
House?
o'clock. Fuck.
Take me to Waffle House.
No, you
No,
don't
but
get
yeah.
Waffle House.
Why don't I get Waffle House?
Did I send y'all the picture of my Waffle House the other night?
That sounds so wrong.
No, but I
Yes.
would like, right now, a Waffle House waffle with a
Sounds so
packet
wrong.
of butter for each quadrant. Thanks. Can we go ahead and, like, wrap this up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
for
okay.
nothing else.
I want to rest my voice.
Thanks for coming to Jarred, you guys. You can visit our website at jarredpodcast.com. Find us on Instagram at jarredpodcast, Twitter at jarredofficial. You can join our Facebook group, Jarred Posting. What else do we have, you guys?
Become a patron on our Patreon.
Patreon.
Leave us a voicemail.
Leave us a voicemail. Speakpipe.com/jarred.
Like, rate, review, download.
Yes, rate, review, subscribe, download, please. It's not that hard. And if you think it's hard, then I will post a screen recording of how easy it is to fucking download episodes on all of our social media accounts, just in case you guys have any questions. Okay, see
We're
you
not
next
yelling
week,
at you, we
guys.
love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks
Bye.
for listening. Bye.